Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
We're at episode 106.
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
But the trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear. And it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, and the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way.
Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy do, Who fans. Hope you've had a cracking week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related in your lives. How have you been, buddy?
I've been good. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
You've been on some travels, haven't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. I just had over the bank holiday weekend. I just had a couple of nights in Verona.
Oh, just a couple of nights in
Verona. It was it was lovely, actually. It was I've never been there before. There's not a lot there, but it was a lovely hot place, and yeah, really nice. But obviously got back and ploughed into the review ep. And yeah, but it's been been nice few days. Good to have a break.
I love the way you just drop it in casually. Yeah, spent a couple of days in Verona. Yeah, as usual. Yeah.
It's
just
right,
so like, I
next
spent
week,
a couple of
this
days
week
in
Verona, next week, Hollywood,
Monte Carlo, whatever it is.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'd like to go to where is it they're having that big Who convention that I keep seeing all the brilliant guests being added to in the States.
New York Comic Con, is it?
New York, is it? Yeah, I'd like to go there. That would be nice.
Would be. Capaldi.
Yeah. Is Capaldi there? Is it? I guess I know. Who did I see? Alex Kingston, Matt Smith, I think. Karen Gillan, they're there, aren't they?
Yep, Capaldi, Pearl Mackie.
Pearl's there, is she? All right, yeah.
Sure.
Actually, it reminds me, have you seen these filming pics of Pearl and Peter and these crazy costumes?
Oh, yeah.
Like a sort of... well, we got to see a bit of this a couple of weeks ago, but these ones are different, aren't they? So you got like Peter in a top hat and a purpley sort of cravat or something.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by all this.
Intrigued.
Yeah. I saw a really cool picture that Peter, one of the fans asked him to for an autograph, and he actually drew a Mondas Cyberman, and signed it. Peter Capaldi, and apparently Pearl was stood next to him, just watching him draw it. Like, wow, which is really cool because I forget that Peter's a bit of an artist, isn't he? Does do little drawings and stuff. So
your doodle.
Yeah, doodle. That's the word. He is good. Yeah. But what a nice thing to have. Do you know what I mean? What a really nice little thing to bring home. A personal Peter Capaldi picture. Yeah.
I thought you were going to leave it there. A personal Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, it would be good.
That would be cool. Yeah, it does. I'm very intrigued about some of the storylines coming up for Series 10.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a bit of a buzz for it. Yeah.
Because on face value, they look like your average. Because especially in the sort of the newer Doctor Who, we always get a Victorian story, a Victorian episode, and we always get so it looks kind of like they're going down this, but you never know, do you? You never quite know.
Yeah, I know what you mean about it sort of being a bit ordinary, and then because the Moffat has said, isn't he, that he wants it to feel like a fresh show. So I keep expecting to see something that makes like my jaw drop on the floor, like a new monster or something. And we haven't really seen that yet. Like you said, most of the stuff we've seen is pretty sort of run of the mill, what you'd expect. So, but I am hoping, as he said that, I am hoping that he's going to throw some stuff in there that's going to be, freshen up a bit, make it look good. Yeah.
Well, the danger with that is last series when they did that, they showed some photographs of monsters, didn't they? And they turned out to be a bit wet.
Oh, that I'm thinking of that thing, that lion man.
The lion man, which is from...
Oh, that's dreadful.
And the green, I forgot the name of them, the green monsters were from the Ishilda, the first Ishilda episode.
Yeah, the big tin. Yeah. Well, they looked great, didn't they? Yeah. And they didn't, as usual, didn't get used at all. They were a nice design. They were sort of, a bit different.
Maybe they don't want to, get fans... sort of their expectations too high by revealing monsters and stuff like they did last time.
Too much. I did see a little robot though. I've seen a picture of Peter and Pearl. I forget where it was they filmed now. They went away to some foreign land to do a bit of filming.
Yeah.
And there was like a little white robot.
Yes.
Someone managed to get a picture of. And I do always like a robot. So
like a good
that was
robot.
quite exciting. Yeah, I do like a good robot. Apart from swanning away to Verona, I've not really been out so much. I did listen to the Sycorax. No, what's it called? Harvest of the Sycorax.
Oh yeah, big finish
from the really old Doctors and slightly new Monsters set. Actually, quite enjoyed that one.
Not bad, is it?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I thought the ending wrapped up a bit quick, but actually quite enjoyed that. So I've only got the McGann one to go now.
Oh, okay. Right.
Which is with the Jadoon, isn't it? I think.
Sontaran.
Oh, Sontaran. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Jadoon with the one before with Colin.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was quite good. And apart from that, not much. I've watched our review ep and made a few notes. It's quite interesting rewatching the review ep actually, because I'm looking forward to chatting with you because it's a strange one for me because as someone who loves the McCoy era, it's just one it's the only one really that I never feel like putting on. So it was quite interesting to have to sit through it and make notes, and because I've always wondered why, but we'll get into that in a bit. Right.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's been my week. What about you, mate? What have you been up to?
Not much really. I do agree with you though. When it comes to watching the McCoy stuff, Battlefield isn't one that I instinctively reach for. So it will be a good chat on that one. Not much really. Obviously watched that and took some notes and so on. I finally dug out the old Doctor Who colouring book.
Oh, yeah.
That I picked up about 3 or 4 months ago now, quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for something else, like going through the bookshelf, and I was like, "Ooh, I haven't started that yet." And that's got me hooked. Some,
colouring in. I saw you got a nice pack of colouring pens. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, colouring pencils.
Have you seen this
No
Doctor
pens.
Who? Oh, sorry, colouring pencils.
Come on.
Have you seen this Doctor Who cookbook?
I have. Yes.
I haven't bought it. I picked it up and had a flick through it in Waterstones the other week. It's the kind of thing that I don't want to buy, but I kind of want it. So I might ask for it for Christmas. Because do you know what I mean? I don't actually want to pay money for it, but part of me wants it because it's kind of a novelty and it's quite funny, actually. I'd love to get the original. Don't know if you've ever seen the original.
Pertwee?
No.
Because he did a cookery thing, didn't he? John Pertwee.
Did he?
I'm sure I've seen that on YouTube. John Pertwee doing a cookery thing. Might not be Doctor Who related. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, well, I don't know. I have to have a look for that. I don't know. You probably I can imagine it would be funny.
Yeah.
No, they did I think it was in the 80s. It must have been. They did like a Doctor Who cookbook by Gary Downey, I think it was, did it. That sort of floats around on eBay for a bit of dosh. But I would like to get that just for nostalgic reasons. I think at the time it was a bit like, they was clutching at straws of what they could bring out merchandise-wise, so that they went with the cookbook. But it's very in now, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, with all the bake-off and all that, everyone's into their cookery. So
it's very in baking.
Yeah,
British Bake-Off and all that. Indeed. Yeah. Otherwise, not much else. I really enjoyed reading through Peter Davison's interview in the latest Doctor Who mag.
Do you know, I was going to say to you about that because I took my Doctor Who magazine with me all the way to Verona and never got a chance to read it.
While I was in Verona.
When I was in Verona, I was sat there. No, it went all the way with me there and back and never left my bag because I was thinking, right, I'll read it while I'm out there but I never got to read it. But I hear it's very good, and I'm hoping I'll get a chance to read it this afternoon, actually, because I've been itching to get my teeth into that interview. I keep hearing little quotes from it, and people saying, I've seen a thing from Stephen Moffat this morning. I don't know if this is genuine, but apparently Stephen Moffat's quite unhappy about what he says about the Five-ish Doctors in it. And he's kicked off a little bit, but I don't know if that's genuine or just stuff that's floating around on the internet. But the screen grab of the conversation I saw, so basically, was of Stephen Moffat saying he wasn't happy at all. So but it's a good interview. Yeah,
it's very, very good. It's very frank. It's not holding back at all. He's kind of got to that age now where he says in the interview, actually, he's gone through several sort of personas in his life, remember All Creatures Great and Small?
Yeah, I love that show.
His
really
character, I think it was Tristan, his character.
Tristan, yeah.
Yeah, he basically says that he's, throughout a lot of his life, he's put on you know, he's mimicked the character of Tristan in some things, and
he
sort of modelled the character of his Doctor on like a portion of Tristan's in his Doctor, basically, and things like that. And it's very political as well. He gives Boris Johnson a real roasting.
Really?
Yeah. Talks about his family quite a lot as well.
Doesn't you go on?
Yeah, it's just very no holds barred, and it's great because there's no airs and graces. There's no, you know, if things that have happened. He talks about Colin quite a lot.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. You know,
I hear Matthew Waterhouse comes in for a bit of a
he does
pummeling.
as well. Yep. So all the stuff that you've heard over the years, like, oh, I've heard that Davison, you know, is not a real fan of something, and I've heard about Davison, you know, all those little juicy bits of, you know, nuggets of gossip we've heard over the years, like, oh, you know, I've heard about Davison, he's not a fan of that. You will read about it in the interview.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. Has it where'd your appetite for his autobiography that's coming out in a couple of months?
It has a lot, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be good, isn't it?
It's good. A lot of people are not impressed by it. They're like, oh, this is not what we want to hear. But, you know, sometimes you just got to lay it out there. And
well, if that's how he feels, I'd much rather he be truthful than give. What's the point of giving an interview if you're just going to tell people what they want to hear rather than what you actually feel? So, exactly, I've heard loads of different mixed things about it. So, yeah, I'm quite intrigued. I'll definitely have to get that read this afternoon, I think.
Yeah, it's not derogatory against the show too much. You know, it's not, you know, there's no real bad stuff that he says about, you know, Doctor Who as a program or, you know, anything like that. It's just little bits that are a bit unsavoury that's happened over the years, and, you know, things like that. So, but it's very good though. If you haven't picked it up yet, it's a great read.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff.
Right, buddy. I reckon we will land this.
Yes, let's land it. See what's in the news.
First up this week, we've spoken about these before. Always very popular. There's you know, the events that we talk about on the podcast, the events in Chiswick and so on. They're run by a company called Phantom Events. Yeah. Or there's another sort of division called Phantom Publishing, and you've probably heard us speak about it before. New listeners, if you haven't, essentially, they get together a bunch of stars that were on Who. From Classic Who back in the day, and they do their own custom commentary, which you can then buy on CD or a digital download. You stick the episode on, press play on your cassette machine or whatever it is you prefer to listen to, and
your 8-track.
Your 8-track, yeah, and you've got a brand new custom commentary, and they've done a couple already. My memory's gone. I can't remember which ones they've done in the past. I know there've been a couple of good ones. Demons,
they did Web of Fear, Enemy of the World.
That's right. They did the Demons, didn't they? Pretty sure they did.
The Demons, yeah.
So they got a new one coming out very soon. Remembrance.
Oh, it's the Daemons.
The Daemons, sorry.
So I want to be slapped with Daemons. Yeah.
Remembrance of the Daleks gets a new commentary. And if you want to look this up, by the way, if it's it sounds a bit confusing, you just need to do a search for something called Who Talk. So if you just do a search for Who Talk by Phantom Publishing, Phantom with an F, not with a PH, you'll be able to find it. We'll stick a link in the show notes as well. They're not too bad. The CDs normally go for £10.
I think they're $12.99, but they often do like 2 for $20 or something like that. Not always, but I think the last time I bought them, they were doing an offer.
Hold on a second. The CD is $10.99 and the digital download is $9.99.
Oh, there we go.
So if you want the CD, the physical thing, it's an extra £1.
That's all right.
But there you go. So this one, and they're overseen by the brilliant Toby Haydock.
Yes, he's good.
So funny. He's really good. Really good host, isn't he?
He is good. Yeah.
Really good.
I wish he would do his stand-up again, because I'd love to go and see that with you. He's done 2, hasn't he? Moths Ate My Scarf and Steps Inside My Screwdriver, I think was the second one. They were great. I'd just love to go and see them with you, because you'd love it. But I think he still does stand-up. He just doesn't do those full shows at the minute. But he's a good guy. He's Toby.
Very good. Yeah. And joining him from the show is Pamela Salem, who played Rachel, Simon Williams, who played Gilmore, Karen Gledhill, who played Alison, and then we also have Andrew Cartmel. script editor from the McCoy series, and Andrew Morgan, who was a director.
Excellent, yeah.
So sounds like a good one.
It is good. I'm definitely going to get this, actually, because obviously I love Remembrance. And I'll be very interested to hear that commentary. So that's one for the shopping basket. Indeed. Right, in other news, Doctor Who Appreciation Society, otherwise known as DWAS, they're celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. Wow. And in honour of the man who played the Third Doctor, they're trying to raise funds for a new heritage plaque, which they're hoping to put on the new Wimbledon Theatre, which was where the Doctor Who played The Ultimate Adventure premiered, so it's quite fitting. That was a great play. I went to see that. I still have vivid memories of it. It's brilliant. So they're raising money for it. They're also going to do a day dedicated to Jon Pertwee called Polarity Day on the 23rd of October. Not much details on this yet. They're just starting to sort of get it organised, but there is some links to it which we'll put in the notes, I assume. So yeah, go and have a look at it. You can buy a little badge pack as well. Which,
awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, which I love a badge. I don't know about you. So I think you get 7 badges in this little pack for a tenner. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's quite a nice little thing they got going on there. And obviously, I think Jon Pertwee was the first honorary president of the society. And I think it's now Colin Baker. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, it's now Colin has taken over. So, yeah, it's good. It's good that they're still, they've been around 40 years supporting Doctor Who. So it's good to give something back to those guys.
Yes. And his Polarity Day sounds pretty cool as well.
I'm going to be keeping my eye on that because that sounds very interesting. So it's going to be, what is it? It's going to be something in London, but there's not any details yet, is there?
No, in October.
But, yeah, dedicated to the Doctor. So that could be good.
What a good name for the day as well, Polarity Day.
Polarity Day, yeah, brilliant, isn't it?
All right, let's get the Daleks in because we have a small but cool piece of merch to talk through.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
You like a good Titan figure?
I do, yeah.
I love an Ood.
Love an Ood.
And you like a good Titan figure?
I do. But not the Sherlock ones, because I keep getting the same one. But yes, I do like a Titan figure.
Yes, and I like this one. Although we've not been that complimentary to the character who this is aimed at, I think this is quite cool. I get the feeling you don't like it.
I love it.
Oh, you love it? Okay.
I've pre-ordered it.
Oh, you have?
Straight away. I've been checking it. While I was out in Verona, I kept checking the website because I didn't want to miss out on it. Because sometimes, this is the weird thing, sometimes the Titans sell out really, really quick. Mm-hmm. And so you have to sort of just keep checking them, otherwise you don't get them. So I really didn't want to miss out on this one. So I did keep constantly checking it. Typical, pre-ordered it straight away. I was like, yes, got it on order. It's still available. They've obviously got thousands of them. So it's
half a million
of them in the warehouse. But anyway, yeah, no, I love the look of this.
What is it, buddy?
So yeah, well, it's the TARDIS, another TARDIS variant, but it's the Clara tribute TARDIS. It's got that nice flowery design pattern all over it, and Clara's picture, which obviously I'll be scrubbing off when mine arrives. But yeah, it looks. Or actually, I'll probably replace it with a picture of Romana or something like that. But no, it's a lovely variant, I think. And it's 4.5 inch, isn't it? So it's the sort of. It's not the little miniature 3-inch one you normally get in the blind box. This is the bigger,
the slightly larger ones, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
Those guys that don't know what we're talking about, the Titan figures make the small vinyl figures that you get in a blind box. You open up the bag. If you've seen any of Adam's blind box opening videos on his channel, The Geek's Handbag, there's a million videos of him opening a million blind bags of these. They're cool little vinyl figures, but these ones are you can get the regular TARDIS in this size, can't you?
You can get regular and Bad Wolf TARDIS. I think they do. Yeah,
and the Trenzalore.
Trenzalor's massive. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I'd have loved it to have been that size because the Trenzalore one's, how big's that?
Oh, is that's the real big one?
It's the really big one.
Right. Yeah. They're very cool anyway. They look great on the shelf, and this one looked really good with the floral stuff.
You going to get it?
Yes, it looks really good.
Yeah, it does look nice. Look good on your shelf. That will.
It will. I've got the standard one of this, like just the normal TARDIS in this size.
Yeah.
So it'll be a good companion. Excuse the pun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I saw this. This was like an exclusive for somewhere at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw it a little while back, and I immediately wanted it. So I'm glad it's, available to purchase properly now. Yeah.
Well, they showed it at New York Comic Con.
That's it.
Yeah. Recently. So but now it's up for pre-order. It's only, well, as far as I know, it's only available to pre-order at forbiddenplanet.com at the moment. But I guess if you go to forbiddenplanet.co.uk or Zavvi, any of those places, you might find it. But at the moment, I think it's just forbiddenplanet.com.
They're quite good on price, actually. They seem to have brought the prices down on the Titans a little bit, because this is only $12.99. And I'm pretty sure they're about $16.99 before. They seem to have come down a little bit.
They were. It's normally £16, isn't it?
14 or 16. Yeah, I can't remember, but it definitely wasn't. They definitely were more expensive before, these ones. So, yeah, it's nice to see. $12.99 is a good price, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Order it if you like it.
Yeah, if you don't.
Or order it and then take a Sharpie to Clara's face. Whatever suits your fancy.
Yeah.
Right, buddy. It's review time.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell thou fair listeners, what is up for review this week?
Oh, shame. It's what is that? It's of course the Seventh Doctor story, Battlefield.
It's no good! It's not good at all.
I can have an airstrike here in minutes.
It's no good, Brigadier. Conventional weapons won't harm it.
No, I didn't think so.
Ace, give me the silver bullets.
How did you know?
Silver bullets will do the trick.
How did you know I had them?
It's all a matter of timing, Ace. Give me a gun.
Those will stop the destroyer? What, you just shoot the bullets into it?
Simple, isn't it? Just like most killings.
Lord, is that a spaceship?
You scumbag!
Sorry, Doctor, but I think I'm rather more expendable than you are.
Yes. It's time for our review of Battlefield. So we have travelled back to the Seventh Doctor's era. Is it the seventh? Yes, of course. I'm going a bit doolally this morning. It is the Seventh Doctor, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. McCoy. Battlefield came out in 1989. It's a 4-parter. It was written by Ben Aronovich and directed by Michael Kerrigan, overseen by Mr. John Nathan Turner.
Yeah.
And edited, well, messed around with, should we say, by our good friend Mr. Cartmel.
That's it. Yeah, it is.
Good cast in this one. Well, the lead cast are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Supporting cast, characters are good. The actors, come on to that. Plot is thus.
It's plot. Okay.
It's like a medieval battle between good and evil, except it's not set in the past. It's like a futuristic bunch of knights and maidens who come to Earth to find, I believe, the sword Excalibur, which was left there by King Arthur. But because it's set in the future, obviously it's set in our time, quote unquote, as in the 80s. And the Doctor and Ace are there to stop the bad knights, who is ordered around by Morgaine. Morgaine. She's like the evil. She's like the evil sorceress character in this, like the arch nemesis to Arthur. So her knights, and more specifically her son, are trying to take out the good knight and the Doctor and Ace so they can get Excalibur. There you go. That's basically it. And then we get some confusion with the Doctor potentially being Merlin in another time as another incarnation, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
It is a bit up in the air. It's one of those, I can imagine them looking through the script going, we'll make it work. We'll make this. we'll sort it out. But it's a very good script. It's a really good story. But I'm sure we'll have some niggles with this one, because there are a few. Let's be honest. There are a few shortcomings, as we say. So, what do you reckon to this one, mate?
Yeah, well, I think long-time listeners know it's always one I've struggled with. It just never clicks for me, this story. And and it's not one I've watched for ages because it's never one I reach for. Watched it yesterday, all the way through, all 4 episodes, and it's not as bad as I thought, but it's never ever going to be one of my favourite McCoy stories. It's not as bad as I thought. The acting in it is as bad as I remember. The production in it is as bad as I remember. But I sort of found it an okay watch. Yeah, but it's something about it, and I'm hoping as we talk through it, because I've never been able to pinpoint why this one McCoy story doesn't do it for me, because I can get on board with all the other McCoy stories despite any faults they might have. I love the McCoy era, but this one, it just never works for me, and I can't put my finger on it. So hopefully as we chat through it, I'll work out why. But yeah, enjoyable enough watch, but and I think there is a good story in there somewhere, but I just think it did not translate onto screen. And Ben Aronovich obviously wrote Remembrance of the Daleks, which is what I consider to be one of the best stories. So yeah, it seems really strange that this come from the same writer, but I don't think it's his fault. I do think there's a good story in the heart of this, but for me it doesn't translate onto screen. Yeah. What about you, mate? What do you think of it?
That's fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I only watched it this morning. I got up this morning to watch it before work.
Oh, right.
Because I hadn't had time to watch them. And yeah, I was watching through and I thought, yeah, this is, classic McCoy stuff. It's an enjoyable watch. And my wife was watching it with me as well. She's eating at breakfast and she was like, what is this? My wife has sort of been converted over the years. She's come round to Doctor Who. Over time,
robotized.
People like David Tennant helped that process, along. But she's never sort of, she'll never sit down and reach for a classic Doctor Who, put it that way. But she does, appreciate, she's a fan of, some of the classic Doctors, and she appreciates, that whole era. But even she was like, what is this? And I think what she was sort of commenting or trying to get at was, some of the acting is just atrocious.
Oh, it is.
You can't get away from that. It's really bad. No. So, that sort of lets it down for me. It's a little bit, you would expect to see something like this at the theatre. That's what it feels like. But having said that, there are some cool little moments. But it's just, and the ending's not that great for me either. I found the ending to be a little bit meh. But overall, it's not a terrible story. And it's not a terrible watch. I watched all 4 episodes, back to back, and I didn't for once think, I want to turn this off. It's not that bad, but, it's just, it sort of misses the mark, doesn't it? Compared to, as you guys, long-term listeners will know, that over the last year, I went from not being a fan of much at all of McCoy's era and McCoy as the Doctor to really liking him. It's one of my, loved McCoy stuff. But, I was just like, it just doesn't seem, I think it's just one of those stories that just sort of goes along at its own pace, and it doesn't shout out to the viewer that, watch me, this is going on. They've got a great story, this is happening. It just seems to just pass you by. That's the way I can describe it. It's like passing something on the motorway. You sort of look out the window and there it goes, and then you don't really give it a second thought after. That's the way I see it.
And it's strange, isn't it? Because there's a lot going on in this story as well. Do you know what I mean? There should be enough to sort of bring it above what it is. But the thing is, I wonder if a lot of it's down to the direction for a start, I think is poor. It's poorly directed. I think who was the director? Because I think this is the only Doctor Who ever did.
Michael
Kerrigan, yeah. Yep. It's very poorly directed. The production values are terrible. I mean, this kicked off series 26.
Yeah.
So the last series of Doctor Who, this kick-started that series. But it feels really cheap. But in terms of production, I think they've tried really hard though with what they were given, but it does feel like a cheap production. But the thing is, I do wonder about the editing, because I kept thinking it's so unclear what's going on half the time. I think that's why it doesn't keep me entertained, is because half the time I'm wondering what is going on because of the editing. We keep chopping and changing from like the Brigadier takes nearly a whole episode to get into a helicopter, because we keep cutting back and forth to him chatting in the garden, and then we have another scene, then we come back and he's chatting and he's going to get in it, and then we cut back and he's in the helicopter, and then we cut to another scene, and then we cut back and he's still in it. He spends about a day in the helicopter.
That's right.
In fact, he spends a whole night in it
because it turns to nighttime, doesn't it? Yeah,
it turns to night, and then we come back and he's still in the helicopter. So I wonder if the editing is a lot to blame for this in terms of the way it tells the story, because it seems really clunky and disjointed. And I think maybe if it had been, different, it might have, if we had more of a flow in the story of what's actually going on, I think it probably could have been a lot better. But I find it very clunky.
Yeah, I know what you mean by the editing, because I know when I first watched this one, I thought, he's been up in the air a long time. Because he takes a while to get, like you said, he's chatting with Doris. He's chatting with the old Doris for a while. She's like, don't go. He's like, well, I'm going. But then it's not as quick as that, is it? Because they have a couple of, like you said, back and forth.
There must have been a lot of fuel in that helicopter.
Yeah, and then he's up in the helicopter, and the is it Czechoslovakian pilot he's got in there?
Yeah,
She's like, they're having a good old chin wag and stuff like that. And then it's like, it goes from one extreme to the other, because we have this real drawn out thing across the entire episode of him up in a helicopter. And then literally in the space of like 5 minutes, it's like, we're flying over London, because he's like, London's beautiful at sunrise. And then she's like, nah, once you've seen one helipad, it's all the same. And literally a minute later, they're out in the countryside.
Yeah.
It's like we're in the middle of London, and it's taken us like 72 hours to get here. And now we're in London, and now a minute later, it's like a snap of your fingers, we're out in the countryside.
Yeah.
It's very much, what, I don't know if it's a continuity thing, editing, a combination of all those things. It just feels very much, like you say, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, they're still in there. And you keep getting random shots of like this glowing sword throughout episode 1, just plonked in the middle of scenes, and you don't know anything about it. That's the sort of thing. I mean, it sort of feels very amateurish in production, this one. A lot more than I think some of the others do.
Yeah.
Like, the way the story is told. But I think that's the biggest problem with it, because as I said, even though I don't think it's great, there was definitely bits in there I was enjoying. And the funny thing is, over the years, I've popped this one into the player. When I'm trying to think of something to watch, I sometimes think, I'll give Battlefield another go, because I never really get, I tend to sort of get into about an episode and switch it off. And, it's quite rare for me to do that, Doctor Who. So it was interesting sort of having to sit and watch all 4 episodes of this, because I think it made me sort of enjoy it more, if that makes sense, because I don't normally get that far. I normally sort of get sort of episode 2 and switch it off and think I'll watch the rest later, and then I never do. So it's quite interesting to sort of have to sit there and watch it all, because overall I sort of thought, it's all right, actually. Once you get to the end, it's got some nice moments, but I think that is the thing. There's so many bits like that where you're sort of thinking, wow. I mean, they go for a whole night, don't they? And then we cut back to episode 2 with the Brigadier sort of getting shot down, and you're like, he's still flying? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So the whole, the glowing, hand or hilt thing of the Excalibur sword, that's never explained.
No, what?
And I think as a viewer, we're just meant to assume that, it's, the big ruby stone or whatever it is in the handle of the sword. I think we're just meant to assume that it's doing that because it's the famous Excalibur sword.
Yeah.
And I think that you're just meant to go with that. It's not a homing beacon for anyone. It's not like some kind of signal for anything. It's just, but the problem with that is it cuts to that so many times.
Yeah. It's you think something's going to activate or happen. Or
yes. Yeah.
But you've got Morgaine sort of keeps popping up as well. And I kind of think there are a lot of things unexplained. Like you're sort of thinking, so what, she wants to destroy Earth, is that right? I mean, why? There's so many bits like that. I'm sort of thinking, what's the motivation for this? Like, what is?
Well, that's the thing.
Why is that character doing that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because it's her son that turns up with a bunch of other knights, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so she doesn't actually do anything, because it's him that calls her, to Earth. So it's not her master plan or anything to take over the Earth. He sort of summons her.
Yeah.
And she turns up, and then she's all for it. She's like, yes, we're going to take over the world. It's all going to be great. And then they're in a graveyard, and she's like, this is a pilgrimage to like fallen heroes, fallen soldiers. They're not as savage as you told me they were. So then you think, well, she obviously didn't know what was going on. It's her son's doing. But then she kind of goes with it anyway. She's sort of like, well, these people people of Earth aren't what you said they were. He goes off with the strop. And instead of her going, I might as well, she's like, well, I think I will take over the world anyway. Yeah, I'm here now. I'm here now. I've made the journey. Let's do it.
And what's going on in the end as well? She's about to launch a nuclear... Because I must have missed I don't know if I just switched off for a second, but 1 minute she was in this castle, and then I don't know, I must have just literally looked away for a second, I don't know. And then the next thing she's about to press a button to blow the whole world up, and the doctor convinces her that it's morally wrong, and she's like, yeah, you're right. And she's presses it with 1 second to go, of course. But I didn't quite know what happened in between there. I think I don't know if I checked my phone or what. But it seemed to be, she, like you said, I just kept thinking, why is she doing that again?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if we got Ben Aronovich in a room with Andrew Cartman, and we sat down and we were like, look, no BS, just give it to us straight. What's going on? I'm pretty sure if they explained it, we'd be like, ah.
And the book's probably good, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. But I think it's just the way it's executed on the screen.
Definitely.
You do get a little bit lost. It's a little bit struggling, I'll be honest. You're sort of mentally in your head having a conversation like, I'm struggling a little bit with this. Yeah. And there's probably, some of our listeners right now thinking, what the hell is wrong with you two? Because what's happening is this, and this, and then it's this, But I don't know. It's just one of those things you just...
And it probably is one I need to watch again. I mean, that's the thing, I suppose, with a lot of the Doctor Who stories we review, I've watched them a good few times, so I kind of know what's going on. But this one, because I haven't watched it many times, and as I said, I did give it a rewatch yesterday all the way through, so it was clear in my mind. But I still wasn't quite sure what was going on. And the thing is, it's got... on the DVD, it's a 2 DVD set, isn't it? So there's actually an extended version of this on this too, which I don't know if that makes the storyline any clearer. I don't know if the editing's better on it, because I really wish I'd had more time, because I would have given it a watch. I think I watched it when I very first bought it. In fact, I would have done, because I used to just, when I bought a DVD, I'd watch everything on it. Everything. So I would have seen the extended version, but I can't, it's so long ago I can't remember it. But whether it's any better, whether it makes things a bit more clearer, I don't know. I'll have to give it a watch at some point. But
that might help.
It might do, yeah. Maybe they've put some bits in that it needed, but I haven't seen it.
Before we get on to characters and stuff, what did you think to the whole sort of amalgamation of current time with units being like a sort of modern times army versus the whole knights of old, but then they've also got sort of laser guns and stuff like that. It's sort of they sort of try to mix them, match the two, and I think for the most part it's okay. I quite like the whole the classic Knights of the Round Table, that kind of Merlin and Arthur, all that stuff. It's that's like a classic tale, isn't it? It just feels I don't know how you feel about it, but it felt a little bit sort of half-hearted to me, because you got the costumes are pretty good, like the knights and stuff. Morgaine looks pretty good, but I just wish that they'd have sort of tried to put more of that stuff in, because it just felt like they were there just because we never understand why they're there in the first place. We just see like a knight flying through space, and land, like crash landing on Earth, but that's it. We don't understand why they're here. Their decisions. Maybe we need to watch extended version. It'll maybe tell us a bit more. But so, what do you think to that? Like the whole, the old fairy tale knight story mixed with like modern Doctor Who and stuff.
Yeah, I quite like that. I quite like that concept. I think that perhaps the knights look different to how Ben Aronovich pictured them, because there's a line that baffled me a bit when, I'm not sure if it's Ace or what's the other girl called, who she befriends, but one of them sort of says, "Oh, is that an android?" And I'm thinking, what? why would you think a man in a suit was an android? You know, I think perhaps they were supposed to look a bit more futuristic, maybe. But yeah, I like the concept, and the thing with Unit, I think works all right. It's quite nice. It's always good to see the Brigadier. I love the character of the Brigadier, because last time we saw him would have been in Mordred Undead, I think, where he was a school teacher. So now he's retired in this one by this time, and we get to meet Doris, his wife, which is nice. Yeah, we get to meet his missus. So that's all nice. So I think that works quite well, because obviously, like, he's retired. We've got this new Brigadier Bambera, Winifred Bambera, in charge of Unit. And it's quite funny, isn't it, the way the brig, as soon as the Doctor's name's mentioned, he's like, right, get the old jacket on, it still fits. I was thinking, does it? It still fits. And he just waltzes back in. I'm not really sure you can do that. A top secret military.
Well, they're not that
not sure
top
you can
secret.
Just walk. Well, not top
they?
Secret, no. But yeah, he just waltzes back into work as soon as he hears the Doctor's name. But it's quite nice. It's quite nice, I think, seeing the brig, you know, as he might have sort of ended up. Yeah. So I think it works okay in that sense. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's. I do like the concept, like I said, but I think they should have done a bit more for that, because it's like they were just plonked into the story onto Earth, and that's it. We sort of have to go with it now, and that's it. But yeah, it's a good, like you said, there's a great story in there somewhere, and I think if they'd have done more to sort of flesh out why Morgaine's there and her son and these knights, and you know why Excalibur's lighting up all the time, and all this stuff, I think we would have, you know, that would have been a better story. But maybe that's just the production side of things. Maybe Mr. Aronovich pictured this looking slightly different, because I know in Andrew Cartmell's book, The Script Doctor, he does go on to say that when they were doing Remembrance of the Daleks, he was very Ben was very much like, this is not really what I envisioned when I was writing the story. This is not what I was planning to see. So maybe it's a case of that, because I know that in that book, if my memory recalls, when he spoke about Battlefield, he said that he absolutely loved the story, loved the script, but it was sort of let down by some of the production stuff and the direction. So, you know, maybe if it's a different time, we have to remember also that, you know, we're coming up to the end of the run now.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
So the BBC had pretty much, you know, had little to no faith in this, you know, crappy little sci-fi show that went out, you know, to mind you, the viewers weren't too bad. It's like 3.5 million.
Well, I think episode 1 isn't it still the lowest rated Doctor Who episode ever?
3.1 million.
3.1 million, yeah.
The finale got 4 million, which is still, you know. So because of this, the Beeb are probably like, you know, they're probably pleading for more money, you know, for better production and stuff like that. And they're like, you guys are on the way out. We haven't told you this yet, but, you know, you guys are going to be out of here soon. So deal with what you've got.
Yeah. Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. So we have to remember that as well. This is a very sort of interesting time for Doctor Who.
It is, because I think the next few stories in this last series, I like them. In Ghostlight's next. What's after Ghostlight? Is it Curse of Fenric?
No, it's sorry, it is, yeah. Sorry, Curse of Fenric.
And then Survival.
And
is that it?
One?
There's only 4 in it. Blimey. Yeah. So yeah, we are really close to the end of the line.
Yeah.
For Doctor Who at this point. So it is an interesting time. Yeah, definitely. But I think it does show in the production. But I don't think the other stories suffer as badly in production as this one. I mean, like, the effects look terrible. I suppose it's trying to be a bit adventurous. And also the music. The music in it is like, I normally like the 80s music, but it's so overbearing in this. Like Kev McCulloch did the music. Yeah. It's so overbearing. It's like an 80s disco half the time. You're having these fight scenes. It's like do 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 do. It's like, oh my goodness me. It's like it's not the fact the music's bad. It's as much that there is so much music in it. It's like they couldn't do a scene without it being absolutely flooded with this 80s music.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't really mind the music too much. I just felt like it doesn't suit the story.
It doesn't suit the story, yeah, exactly.
You know, it's real sort of, like you said, 80s disco. sort of loads of electric drums and synths all over the place. It just doesn't fit this. But it's not bad. I don't mind it.
Oh no, it's not bad.
When I'm listening to the soundtrack, the 50th anniversary soundtrack, sometimes I just stick that on random, and then I always know when it's going to be Series 26 McCoy episode, because it's just like 80s drums, synth. So it's quite cool, but yeah, maybe they should have thought about
just toned it down.
Tone it down a wee bit. Yeah. Right, let's talk about some cast. Some characters. Supporting cast, let's just say they're not great.
No, they're not good.
Quite a few of them, even as far up as Brigadier Bambera.
She's the best of a bad bunch, I would say.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean...
oh, shame.
Oh, shame.
Why does she keep saying that, mate? It was really grating on me. What is that?
I don't know. The first time she said it, I thought she was going to say the other word.
Is that what it is?
Maybe
is it like a substitute for a swear word?
It sounds like it. Yeah.
Right.
So we have the knights, don't we, that show up. Mm-hmm. So that is, I can't remember, well, the names escape me, but we have Mordred, who is...
That's her son, isn't it?
That's
Mordred.
her son, yeah.
Not to be confused with Mordred Undead.
Yes.
David Collins, no.
Yep. And then we have Anselin, who kind of falls for the brig, the female brig.
What's going on?
They sort of...
The most unlikely couple.
They end up in a fight, don't they? They end up having a good old scrap by the TARDIS. And, she's blasting away with her pistol. They're running at each other with swords and stuff. It's a big mess. But they sort of warm to each other as the story goes on. So it's kind of weird. You wouldn't really... It is kind of weird. But so
it's out of nowhere.
Those two guys, characters, Mordred, played by Christopher Bowen, and Anselin, Marcus Gilbert, just real amateur stuff. I hate to be rude, but it's especially that scene where Mordred has summoned his mum and he's shoved the sword into the ground.
Oh, that manic laugh.
And that laugh that goes on for ages, and he's really forcing it out. And it's like,
I know.
I imagine that in his head he's thinking, please scream, cut, or we're done, or whatever, because this is killing me. I can't do it.
I was thinking that as well. I was thinking he must, because you can imagine him on the on the other side of the camera going, keep going. He's like, yeah, I'm doing it. Come on. Yeah, can we just do it one more time? Oh my God, Excalibur sword across the set. Oh, I can't do it again. Yeah, because it does go on forever, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And then we have a sort of blue demon thing turn up towards the end of the story, which is unbelievably underused. And it's like he's called the Destroyer, and basically, if you've ever seen a really old Tom Cruise and Tim Curry film called Legend, Tim Curry plays this really big devil character, and I get the feeling that they sort of fashioned this look on his character in that, because it's almost the same. The only difference is in that film he's red like the devil, and this he's like this sort of Play-Doh blue color. So he's called the Destroyer, right? But he's like the Eater of Worlds. They really big him up.
They do.
The Destroyer of Worlds, the Eater of Souls, all this stuff. But he's got handcuffs on, so that sort of prohibits him from doing any bad stuff. Any bad magic. And then he gets the handcuffs off, and all he does is rip his shirt open a little bit. It's like you think it's going to be like an Incredible Hulk scene where he's just going to go mad and destroy the world, but no, he doesn't. And then the brig just turns up and shoots him, and he's dead. He explodes into a ball of green gas.
That's right.
So it's like, if you're really going to big up a character like like the Eater of Worlds, if you're going to have a character called the Destroyer, then you've got to do something a bit more than just have him sort of skulk around threatening, and then he gets shot once, and then that's it, he's gone.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because he actually quite like the sort of look of him, like the head sculpt, and that's good. And they've gone to a bit of effort, because when he opens his mouth, you can see all this sort of saliva or water, or I don't know. They've tried. Mm-hmm. They've definitely tried, and I think the design of him looks good. And like you said, the whole build up of him actually being set free from these silver handcuffs or whatever it is he's wearing. You sort of think, hey, it's all going to kick off now. And then it does for about 5 seconds. And it's all done. So, yeah, I agree with you. Terribly underused. Yeah.
If they'd have called him something different other than the Destroyer, might not have been so bad. If he was like,
Howard?
Malcolm, whatever. Just something a bit more. It is, it's very underused. And it's good makeup as well.
Underused. Yeah.
Right, what about... so Angela Bruce, Winifred Bambera. She's just so, I don't know. She's really forcing this character out. It just doesn't seem natural to me at all.
No, I'd agree with that. I think she's sort of, I kind of like, she's one of those characters so bad that I kind of like it, if you know what I mean. I sort of think, oh, she's terrible, but I kind of like the fact she's terrible. But yeah, you're right. It's terribly forced. I think she kind of thought, right, I'm the Brigadier, so I have to be really shouty and really strong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to blow everything up with my gun. I mean, that scene when she's at the top of the car shooting everything. And it's so cheesy and just over the top. It's cringy. Yeah.
We can safely say that she's not great either.
She's not great.
What about Shou Ying?
Oh, we met her, didn't we? Met her at a Phantom event. Do you remember?
She was quite cool. Character though, I thought she was quite good. I thought it's almost like a little sort of I don't know, like it's almost like Ace had finally found somebody like on her level because. They
both like explosions.
Yes. So throughout the whole time of her time on the show, it's either she's knocking about with a doctor, which is fun, or she's like arguing and shouting and doing, So she's finally found like a new sort of Bezzy mate, someone that she can have a crack with, blow some stuff up, But so that part of it I quite like, they team her up. But again, the acting's just not very good. You just kind of feel like,
That scene where they're arguing in the circle of chalk is very, very theatre, isn't it?
It's very theatre.
Where they're like having a fight and then they just about to knock each other out the circle and they hug each other and all. It's very, very cringy. Yeah. Love that idea of the circle, gotta say. I love it when Doctor Who does that. Really simple idea. Draw a circle, stand in it, you'll be safe. The thing will protect you. Great idea. Love stuff like that. But yeah, she's all right. It's nice to see the relationship with Ace, despite the acting, like you said. You get the character just about. There's a bit in it when they're talking about the explosions going boom, where the director should have been on the ball and completely lets everybody down, because we should have had sort of zoom ins and you can totally see how the scene was written with them going boom and then there's going to be an actual boom and all that, but it just completely falls flat on screen. But she's okay, she's passable, but she ain't great.
She ain't great.
Nice lady though.
She's very nice. The couple who run the pub
now what are they called?
Yes, they are called
all right.
I think they're called June. Isn't the blind lady in the pub? Is she called June?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And her husband might be called James.
Not sure, but what did you think of them?
I thought they were an interesting. I quite liked her character. I thought there was a bit of mystery there because when the Doctor first meets her. She's obviously blind, but she's got like a sort of sixth sense almost. She sort of knows what's going on with the I've forgotten the name for these things that you put your sword into. What are they called?
Oh,
the thing that's hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
So she's got like a sort of mystic Meg thing going on. So I quite like her, but I thought they were quite a good little addition to the story.
I really like them. I think they're a really nice little. Because they're the only ones in it, really, in terms of supporting cast, that I find even remotely believable. I think they actually act the part really quite nicely. I'm not saying they're great, but I certainly liked them, and I felt a bit of warmth towards them, especially that scene where Morgaine gives her sight back to pay for Mordrin's tab. I thought it was a lovely, lovely scene. But those two. They're a nice little bit of supporting cast. I thought I really did like both of them. He's good as well. Like when she's being all snooty when she's got a sight back. She's like, I can do it. and he's just like rolling his eyes like the typical husband, like let her get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, so I liked those two, and I agree with you about the mystery, the fact that she's blind, enhancing her senses, that she picks up on the stuff around her that no one else has picked up on. Yeah, I like them a lot. Not enough to know their names, but I like them.
I'm sure it's June.
But I like them a lot.
It's June.
I can't remember.
I'm sure it's June and James or June and Noel. One of them.
Right.
One of the other guys that we're mixing the names up with, he's like the local farmer / archaeologist guy.
Yeah. Not so struck on him.
Yeah, again, acting not...
Bit wooden.
Yeah. What do you think to Morgaine then, Jean Marsh?
Jean Marsh, well, yeah, obviously she's got a good connection to Doctor Who, and actually I really like her in this. She's given the part to go a bit over the top evil, but I like it. I think she does sort of bring it down to a sort of more subtle performance than perhaps we might have got. So I like her. I like her performance. She comes across as evil, but she's got that other side to her. Like I said, when she gives that woman a sight back, the scene you mentioned when she's sort of thinking, well, these aren't terrible people. So she's quite a sort of rounded character in perhaps a sort of kind of ridiculous costume, I suppose. But I did like her performance. Yeah. Thought she was good as Morgaine. Yeah.
Not too bad at all, actually. And long fingernails as well.
Very long fingernails, yeah.
Right. The Brigadier.
The Brig.
The proper Brig.
Yeah.
I am going to say that I'm not a fan of him in this.
It's strange, isn't it? Because we reviewed Mordrin Undead quite recently, and I really liked him in that, and he felt like the same character.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't, and I can't put my finger on it, but he doesn't quite feel like the same character in this.
No.
I don't know what it is, and I still like him in it. But yeah, I agree with you. He's not quite. I can't say he's on top form. I just can't say he's on top form in this. But he's still good.
I can understand why they've gone with this. Like he's happily, sort of semi-happily retired. He's got a lovely big house out in the country with his missus. He's all settled, But then when he does hear the Doctor's name and he's suited up and he's back in business, I just wanted a bit more of the proper Brig,
Maybe it is because he's a bit sidelined by Bambera a little bit. I just don't know. He doesn't get a chance to shine, even at the end when he kind of saves the day, doesn't he? He's kind of like the hero. Even that is done in such a weak way, I thought.
It's more of his performance, though, Nicholas Courtney's performance. It just doesn't feel like he wants to really be... He's like not in it as much as he should be. That's what it just feels like. He's just wants to do his takes and then go. That's just what it feels like. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still a great character. He's still good. Love Nicholas Courtney, but he's just, in this one, just doesn't seem to have it.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I felt the same as well. I love Nick Courtney as the Brig, but he didn't quite. Even when they dust off old Bessie, even when they bring Bessie out.
Bessie, yeah.
Yeah, and they've changed the number plate to Who 7. But even then, there's not enough. I don't know. It feels almost like a little bit like they're trying a bit too hard, actually. I thought, but he's okay. He's not bad in it.
No, he's not bad at all. He's just not the usual Brig that we're used to.
Yeah, exactly. He's just not quite as strong as. It's not his best story, which is interesting because they were originally planning to kill him off, weren't they? In this story, this was to be his last. When the fight at the end, John Nathan Turner said to Nick Courtney, "I'd like to bring you back for one more story, but we're going to kill the Brig off. Is that all right?" And apparently Nick was like, "Yeah, okay, as long as it's a heroic death, I'm fine with that." And thank goodness they had a sort of last minute change of heart, because I don't think it would have been a good story for the Brig to go out on. It's not his best story, and obviously he does pop up in the Sarah Jane Adventures many years later, which probably wouldn't have happened if they'd killed him off in this. So I'm glad they reversed that decision. I think it would have been a shame.
Yes.
It would not have been a good enough story to for such an iconic character to be killed off in, I don't think.
Absolutely. Ace.
Ace. Again, I love Ace, but she's not. It's not her best. Yeah, she's not. I don't think Ace or the Doctor are quite up to their usual, because they're one of my favourite pairings. I love the Seventh Doctor and Ace, but I don't think she's on top form in this either. Really,
it's weird, isn't it? because she's good. Again, it's not a complaint as such. She is good. Sophie Aldred, she always gives it most of the time she gives it her all. You can tell she's
a bit gusto to the performance.
Yeah, and she's like that at certain scenes. But overall, it's just I don't know what it is. She just doesn't feel like.
Maybe it's because she nearly died while they were making it.
Oh, the drowning scene
with the scene. I mean, that to be honest, the drowning scene aside, that bit where they're running away from that digital snake, is one of the worst bits in the story. I mean, the pratfalling and the sets and everything about that whole end to episode 2. It was enough to put the final nail in the show, I would say. It's absolutely dreadful. I mean, it's just it was laughable then, and it looks even worse now. But obviously that did lead on to Sophie Aldred being in that water tank, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners know, famously, she nearly died because the tank wasn't built strong enough to hold the water pressure, and it cracked, and you can actually see it all cracked in the one shot, can't you, as she's being lifted out. And that's her actually being lifted out to safety that they use in the show. But if it wasn't for Sylvester McCoy shouting, "Get her out of there," I think she'd have been in the middle of a load of water and electric cables, which would not have been good. So that was a real close call. And it's every time I watch that scene, it's all I can think of is, she's obviously in peril in the show, which is completely unconvincing. What? Because she runs in and says it's a dead end. It's like, yeah, it's like the size of a wardrobe. Of course, it's a dead end. But yeah, it's such a ridiculous scene. But it is, it's sort of made quite shocking by the fact that we know what happened during the making of that. So maybe that had a knock-on effect because, it's pretty terrifying, really. Yeah, but she's not. She's okay. Again, she's just okay.
She's okay.
Yeah.
And the same applies really to Mr. McCoy. He's good. He is good. I think he's better than okay. I think he is good still, but he's just not quite hitting the mark. Like, I think he in this very short series, he's much better in the next few.
Ghostlight,
much better. And he was much better in the previous series leading up to this. Maybe it's because it's the first one. Maybe there was rumours abound and it wasn't quite, ticking all the boxes in terms of story and scripts. I don't know, but it just feels like him and Sophie Aldred just weren't quite up to where we normally enjoy their characters' performance, their actors' performances, So again, exactly the same applies to him than it does to Sophie Aldred. Good still, but just not quite there.
Yeah, because he does a lot. Yeah, I do, because he does a lot of shouting at the end, doesn't he? When he's like, he's threatening to kill Mordred, isn't it? And he's like, there will be no bloodshed, or whatever he's shouting. And he's just, I don't know, he's just not quite on top of his game on this one, I wouldn't say. Still good, but just, And the thing is, I think he should have shined a bit more because he's got the whole Merlin thing going on, which adds a sense of mystery to it. And, like his voice can open a door because he's Merlin, and they don't really explore that much. So he could have gone for it a bit more, I think, in this one. But again, I get the feeling there was a lot of sort of trouble behind the scenes on this. I just get the feeling it wasn't gelling when they were making this. And
you do get that feeling. Yeah. So anything else you want to mention, buddy, before we do some scorage?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it, to be honest. Yeah.
Right. Whose turn is it to go first? I think it's me.
It's you this week. Yeah.
I will give this a 5.5.
Oh, well, Joe, I thought you were going to go higher than me on this, because I'm giving it a 5.5 as well. I thought you'd go higher for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought you might like it a little bit more than me, but 5.5, I can't go any higher than that. Just touching on what you just said, actually, about perhaps they knew behind the scenes that things weren't great, does make me think of the very first scene in the TARDIS where they haven't even got the TARDIS walls anymore because they've been binned.
Yeah.
Perhaps when Sylve walked onto set that day and saw these sheets of paper with circles drawn on them and the lights all turned down, he thought,
we haven't paid the bill.
Good. Yeah, because that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit odd, to say the least. You can tell from a mile off that the roundels, they're not proper.
Yeah, well, they got scrapped. They accidentally threw the TARDIS walls away in between the last series of this one. So they thought, you'd have thought they'd have noticed before they went into production, though, rather than thinking, quick, we'll have to knock something up in the back room. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, yeah. What did you guys think to this one? Let's kick off with one of our audio reviews. This is Russ Hilton.
Hi, guys. For me, Battlefield is one of the jewels in the 7th Doctor era crown. McCoy is at his mysterious best. Sophie Aldred finds a kindred spirit in Shu Ying, and we meet Brigadier Winifred Bambera, as well as Unit Original Brigadier Sir Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, though of course he's not been knighted at this point in his illustrious career. Of course, it's no secret that the plan was to kill off the brig in this story, but writer Ben Aranovich openly admitted that when he came to it, he just couldn't do it. At the time I was happy with that decision, but with the benefit of having seen Death in Heaven, I can't help but think that killing off the Brigadier while he was doing something that he so loved doing would have been the better option. However, that doesn't stop Battlefield being a brilliant story. Seven is outstanding in this romp, keeping the balance between the mystery of the Doctor and his being completely in control at all times perfectly. Sophie Aldred shines alongside Ling Ti as Shu Ying. Their teenage minds and mindsets meeting perfectly, and I'd have loved to have seen Shu Ying join the TARDIS crew after this adventure. Then we have the fantastic Angela Bruce as Brigadier Winifred Bambera. Gun-toting in much the same way as Lethbridge Stewart, but at the same time a complete departure for Unit. A brilliantly written, strong female lead. Bruce makes the character of Bambera her own from her very first scene, and if you've not yet listened to it, she does exactly the same in the 7th Doctor Lost Stories audio, Animal. As for the storyline and plot, the whole Arthurian theme was a brilliant idea that added to the mystery of the Doctor, and rattled along at a great pace for classic Who. Great battle scenes, some great CGI for the time, and the Doctor doing what he does best at the end, by talking the villain of the piece down. All in all, this was an excellent story with great repeat watching value, and I can't find anything to fault in it. A definite 10 out of 10 for me. Great show, guys. Keep up the good work, and KBO.
Wow, very different opinions there, Russ, from us.
Very different, yeah. Quite surprising, actually, yeah. I hope he's sticked with the review. He may have switched off.
That's cool, though. If you found something... it sounds like you really, really enjoy this one, which is great. So if you found something to like, that's all good. Let's head over to Twitter. George Garrity says, another Sylve classic. Love the plot on this one, even if the Merlin plot was resolved, was meant to be done in the next season, but after cancellation, went into the book Lung Barrow.
Ah, yes, which is available for £1,000 on eBay.
Of course. Actors are all great. Brilliant to see the brig return. The Destroyer was such a cool monster. Love this one, 8.5.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. Let's do our second audio review. This is Loopy Loo.
Well, anything with the old brig in it is fine by me. Kind of sweet seeing him in retirement. So, okay, this is a pretty bad episode, but it's kind of so bad it's good. You know, the music and the fight scenes are awful, but everything else is fine. Ace is great, and I even like Sylve okay in this one. I don't remember the 7th Doctor being able to do a master-like psycho trickery on people. That was a surprise. I don't remember that from before. Funny how Ace didn't like the brig at first, but I'm glad they bonded over explosions in the end. Okay story, I give it 6 out of 10.
Cool.
Thanks, Lou. Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, actually.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I don't like Ace calling the brig a moron. Didn't like that.
Not good.
No.
Rightio. On Facebook, Sammy Satine says, so Morgaine, thinks the Doctor is Merlin, and does the rest of the knights, including her son, Mordred. For some reason, she has decided this world should perish, but she gives an old lady her sight back, which is a nice gesture. Meanwhile, Unit are around and bring with them the not really so retired Brigadier. An added bonus, we get to see Bessie again. I love that car, I love the Brigadier, love the story. I love the Arthurian legend aspect to it. It's never boring, easy to understand, and I find it entertaining. I also like the ending. Sylvester in his usual brilliant self. Sophie is excellent. Nicholas is also excellent as the unflappable Brigadier. I can't find much fault with everyone else. 9.5.
Wow, another high score.
Nice one, Sammy. Miles Mackenzie says, been getting 7th Doctor vibes lately, and I got to admit, this is one of the weakest stories of his time. The reason why I watch it mostly because of the Brigadier. Title sounds like a very good story, but for me, it just doesn't deliver. Seventh Doctor and Ace are fantastic as always. I do think they're one of the greatest duos of all Who. But Battlefield is a 4 out of 10 for me. Lewis Palmer says, Battlefield is a pretty cool story. Decent action, great characters, and a monster that is gorgeously brought to life with animatronics. Didn't take to Bambera as much, though. I love the line, you stupid, thick-headed numbskull. You were supposed to die in bed. Very mean. If anything else, my main criticisms are that it's quite forgettable, and I don't like that there are stakes. I don't really like the stakes of the story. 7 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Danny Brown, Battlefield, not exactly a bad story, but it's really not that good either. Shoved in the middle of a great season of Who and fails to display many memorable moments. Although the Destroyer is fantastic, it's only on screen for a matter of seconds before it's gone. I could sum up Battlefield. It's likeable, but lacking any great story. 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Howarth says, while this isn't a bad story, I do feel that Battlefield did have some good ideas in that very short and in that very story, but ultimately it was let down by bad acting, below par fight scenes, unfitting music, which is only second to Remembrance of the Daleks in terms of bad music, too many supporting characters to care or worry about. It's a serviceable story, but not something I'd return to. Probably the weakest story in an otherwise stellar season. 5 out of 10. George Coppen says, love it. One of the best Seventh Doctor episodes. Nice to see the brig one last time. Real shame it was the last time. The Destroyer is fantastic, and the Doctor and Ace do an outstanding job. 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Finn Walsh. Pretty much decent story. Love the tone and lighting. Definitely got me immersed in the story. Something modern Who needs more of. It had great characters and easy to watch. No complaints, as it fits my type of Doctor Who story. It gives it a strong 8 out of 10. Mark Atkinson says, on original transmission, this was actually my favourite story of season 26. It slipped a bit in my estimations since then and has not aged well. The Destroyer is a great Who monster, and it was great to see the brig back. It looks a little cheap these days, but for me, 7.5.
Cheers, Mark.
And lastly, Stan Stacey Gallagher says, pretty good story, had a great cast, mixing medieval with sci-fi. There we go.
Quite a lot of positivity there.
Yeah. Anything on a Geek's Handbag?
Yeah, we had a couple. We had Adam Time Lord Fishwick. He says it's a brilliant story, especially with the Brigadier. Patrick Wolseley agrees with Adam and says it's his favourite too. Charlie Turner says, surprisingly, I haven't seen nor got it yet, but from what I know about it, it's a good story according to fans. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. We seem to be, I would say there's more positivity than negativity. So, don't know. Give it a watch, see what you think. And finally, Patrick Sherwood says, I love this story episode. It's my favourite episode from the 7th Doctor era of all time.
Whoa.
My goodness me.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. A real mixed bag there. Some of you loving it. Some of you agreeing with us. Not that great. What are we going to do next week?
Next week, we'll be following up our Aliens of London review with our review of World War III.
Yay.
So back to the 9th Doctor to find out how those farting aliens are getting on and tying that one up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good beans. Right. I think we're going to do there for 106.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us for 106. Interesting story, this one. We might have to watch the extended version to see what we're missing on that one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yes. Rightio. Next week we're looking forward to World War III. It's going to be very good. Head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.com. You can listen to all the previous episodes, and you can also link off to social media and iTunes and subscribe and all that jazz. Remember to check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag. Find him on YouTube and Facebook. Some great videos there. Give him a like, a subscribe, and all that jazz. Once again, thank you for singing all your clips. It's been really good. Really looking forward to what you feel on the conclusion to the Ninth Doctor story, World War III. It's going to be a good one. Right, until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...